Picture a 32-year-old guy named Thomas. He's a night security guard at this massive warehouse. Works all night, trudges home exhausted at dawn, and basically sleeps the entire day away. He lives in this tiny apartment, barely scraping by, just watching everyone else go off and live out their dreams while he feels completely, utterly trapped. You know the feeling? He had no money, no connections, and really no clear future in sight. But then, in just 90 days, his entire life flipped upside down, and it was all because of a totally random chat on a bus with a successful local businessman. Okay, let's dive into this explainer and uncover the 5 a.m. Mentor's playbook that absolutely transformed Thomas's life, and how you can use the exact same foundation to transform yours.
So you are awake when the world sleeps, and asleep when the world works. No wonder you are stuck. Man, talk about a wake-up call, right? This quote right here is the exact tough love Thomas desperately needed. It came from Mr. Chun, this wealthy business owner Thomas bumped into on a 6 a.m. bus ride. Thomas was actually shocked to see a guy that successful awake and commuting that early. But Mr. Chun pointed out a really brutal reality. Thomas was living his life totally backwards. By working the night shift and sleeping from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., Thomas was completely out of sync with the world of opportunity. Mr. Chun's message was just absolutely uncompromising. If you want to change your circumstances, you've got to stop living backwards. You literally cannot be asleep when the rest of the world is moving forward.
Now, I want you to look closely at this staggering number, 730. When Mr. Chun actually sat down to mentor Thomas, they did some basic math that completely shattered Thomas's old way of thinking. Think about it. If you carve out just 2 extra hours every single morning before the world wakes up, that's 14 hours a week. That's 60 hours a month. And over a year, boom, that is 730 extra hours. To really put that into perspective, that is the equivalent of 91 full 8-hour workdays. By simply waking up 2 hours earlier, you're handing yourself 3 extra months of productive working days every single year. Time that everyone else is literally just snoring away.
Section 1. The Magic Foundation Hours. So Mr. Chun called this 2-hour window the magic hours, mostly because, well, the world is completely quiet. There are no emails, no family demands, 0 notifications blowing up your phone, and definitely no meetings. Your willpower is at its absolute peak, and your mind is just completely fresh. To explain why this undistracted, totally focused space is so critical, he actually sketched a picture of a house in a notebook for Thomas. He explained that most people's lives are kind of like a house that's dark, cold, and literally falling apart at the seams. Why? Because they are way too busy just surviving to ever actually work on the foundation. Those hours between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m., that is your foundation building time. When you use this sacred time properly, you aren't just reacting to whatever the day throws at you, you're actively building the very structure of your future.
Section 2, your 2-hour scheduled template. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it introduces your new non-negotiable routine.
See, waking up at 5 a.m. is totally useless if you don't actually know what to do with the time, right? Sitting on the couch, staring at the wall, that's not going to change your life. So here is the strict, absolutely non-negotiable blueprint of how to structure that foundation time for maximum return. Step 1, the entire first hour, from 5 to 6 a.m., is dedicated purely to building money-changing skills. Not checking your phone, not zoning out to the morning news, pure skill acquisition. Then, step 2, from 6 to 6:30 a.m., you build your body. 30 minutes of walking, running, stretching, whatever gets you moving. Like the mentor said, your body is your vehicle. If it breaks down, well, you have nothing. And finally, step 3, from 6:30 to 7 a.m., you train your mind. You read or you plan out your day. So that's 1 full hour for your future wealth and 1 hour dedicated strictly to your wellness.
So what did Thomas actually do during that crucial first hour? Well, he got smart. He chose to focus on skills that literally every single business on the planet needs. He taught himself Excel formulas, data analysis, and basic accounting. And let me tell you, it paid off incredibly fast. Within just 3 months, he used these exact same skills to build a customized inventory tracking spreadsheet for his warehouse. Get this, by day 87 of his new 5 a.m. routine, he was actually offered a day shift office job in the accounting department, which completely doubled his salary. That is the power of that first hour.
Section 3, Steps for Absolute Beginners.
Now, if you're listening to this explainer and thinking to yourself, well, okay, that's great for Thomas, but I don't have the extra money for fancy classes, or I'm way too tired. Listen, the excuses have to stop right here. This playbook is designed specifically for absolute beginners who feel stuck and are literally starting from zero. Thomas built his knowledge using 5 completely free or incredibly low-cost tools: free online courses, YouTube tutorials, industry articles, borrowed business books, and just a basic, cheap notebook. He sat at a tiny table in the dark and taught himself complex data analysis using entirely zero-cost tools. Building the serious arsenal of high-value knowledge doesn't require some massive budget, a fancy university degree, or inside connections. What it does require is unparalleled discipline while the rest of the world is fast asleep.
So, how do you actually start this tonight? Mr. Chun gave Thomas 3 non-negotiable rules. First, set your alarm for exactly 5 a.m. and put your phone all the way across the room so you physically have to stand up to turn it off. Simple, but it works. Second, commit to just one skill. Please don't scatter your focus trying to learn 5 things at once. Pick one single thing for the next 90 days. And third, and honestly this is probably the most crucial part, protect your 9 p.m. bedtime. Mr. Chun was absolutely adamant about this. You cannot cheat sleep and expect to succeed. You've got to cut out the late-night Netflix binges and the endless doom scrolling. Sleep is not your enemy here. Wasted evenings are.
Section 4. 90-Day Progress Tracking Blueprint. And this brilliantly illustrates how measuring your input absolutely guarantees your output.
Because, let's be real, just setting the alarm is only half the battle. Measuring what you do is really the only way to guarantee those future results. So we're going to look at a 90-day tracking methodology that keeps you accountable, even when your motivation inevitably fades. I highly recommend drawing out a super simple table just like this one. Notice what the very first metric is: sleep. Yep, tracking your 9 p.m. bedtime goal is just as critical for your health and your skill growth as tracking your actual study time. Think about it. If you miss your sleep target, your study and exercise targets are inevitably going to collapse the next morning. You check off your 9 p.m. bedtime, your 1 hour of skill building, and your 30 minutes of movement every single day. That visual chain of checkboxes, that literally becomes your daily proof of commitment. Now, I want to give you some realistic expectations to keep you motivated when you feel stuck. Because, spoiler alert, it is not going to be easy. Mr. Chun warned Thomas right out of the gate that days 1 through 7 are going to be hell. Your body is going to ache, and your mind is going to absolutely scream at you to hit that snooze button. Thomas actually dragged himself through that first week in genuine physical pain, but you have to push through, because by day 21, adaptation happens. The routine actually takes hold. Thomas eventually found himself waking up 2 minutes before his alarm without even feeling angry about it. And by day 90, all that initial pain absolutely transforms into massive confidence. It literally becomes who you are. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, a lifelong identity shift. You see, reaching that 90-day mark is not a finish line. It is a fundamental shift in who you actually are. There's a massive, massive difference between a strategy and an identity. A strategy is just temporary, like waking up early just to get a promotion or cramming to complete a temporary goal. But an identity, that is permanent. Waking up early becomes the sacred practice that defines your lifelong commitment to growth. Even after Thomas became the lead accountant, totally doubled his salary, and moved his mother into a really nice new apartment, he never stopped his 5 a.m. habit, not once. When his coworkers asked him why on earth he still woke up so early when he had already succeeded, he just told them, success is not a destination, it is a daily practice.
Remember, Thomas started with absolutely nothing but a choice to wake up early and build. You have the exact same opportunity waiting for you tomorrow morning. Those quiet hours between 5 and 7 a.m. are just sitting there, completely free, waiting for you to claim them. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to really chew on tonight. What will you build in your first hour tomorrow? Because your future self is waiting on the other side of that alarm clock. Don't make them wait another day.